here we go. This is Twitter Files number 9. This one was from Matt Taibbi. Twitter and other government agencies. Now, the last one we discussed, number 8, was all about the FBI and the FBI's involvement. I think number 7 as well, but number 8 went into more details about how they even paid money, taxpayer dollars, into reimbursing. The FBI came out and said they were just reimbursing the FBI or the Twitter employees for what work that they were doing, or were the former FBI, the group within Twitter that were all FBI, former FBI agents.
That building. It's like, we're leaving our jobs at the FBI and we're just going to go work over here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Bullshit. Okay. Wait. Why is this not the thread? What? Where's the thread? Let me reset the thread. Oh, what? That's weird. And there's the thread. Okay. I don't know why that just went down like that. That's weird. All right. So, thread, the Twitter Files, Twitter and other government agencies. After weeks of the Twitter Files reports detailing close coordination between the FBI and Twitter in moderating social media content, the Bureau issued a statement on Wednesday. They did. It was embarrassing. Mm-hmm. It didn't refute allegations. Instead, it decried conspiracy theorists publishing misinformation whose sole aim is to discredit the agency. I think this is their statement here. Yeah. All right, let's just break that down real quick, right? Where's the information coming from? It's coming from within Twitter. So it's their actual documents provided with emails, correspondence between the FBI and the people working at Twitter. None of it is misinformation. It's all actually true. They proved it by showing all the correspondence. This is what was going on. This is them thanking them. This is them saying, these are the different accounts we want you to look at. This is the Twitter lawyer that actually even worked at FBI that was like, man, this doesn't seem right. Why are they looking for violations in our terms of service? Why is the FBI doing that? That's Jim Baker who did that, the former FBI lawyer. Anyway, they must think us unambitious if our sole aim is to discredit the FBI. After all, a whole range of government agencies discredit themselves in the Twitter Files. Why stop with one? The files show the FBI acting as doorman to a vast program of social media surveillance and censorship, encompassing agencies across the federal government, from the State Department to the Pentagon to, you guessed it, the CIA. That's the least surprising, honestly.
Right, but this is the one thing that I'm still waiting on, and I'm holding out hope. Because when we've gone through all these Twitter files that Musk has released, and I'm really glad he's done, I'm still holding out a little reservation, waiting to see, because everything seems to start and stop in Trump's administration. It's like, remember I shared that yesterday in the Bay Staff Monday chat. But this all started in 2010 with Obama. It's when they wanted to start the Arab Spring. Hosni Mubarak, the Egyptian president, was the first president to be replaced because of a public-private partnership between the government and Twitter, using their propaganda accounts, because they had asked Twitter, hey, we want you to make all these, government accounts for us, and then we want you to turn up their volume, which is basically spread propaganda. And they got rid of him. I mean, that was like a test bed for what was to come later. And I'm waiting for him to start pointing the finger from where it started instead of just this data dump. Hopefully.
The thing about that is there's so much information they probably have to be able to have everyone fully grasp everything that's going on. They can't dump it all.
No, I know. That's why I said I'm still holding out hope for it.
Right. It's like nearly 13 years of Twitter's nefarious actions with government agencies. It's really difficult to be able to, dump it. So I could see it. I could see it coming in due time.
Okay.
I could see it. The files show the FBI acting. Oh, I read that. The operation is far bigger than reported. 80 members of the Foreign Influence Task Force, the FITF, which also facilitates requests from a wide array of smaller actors, from local cops to media to state governments. Twitter had so much contact with so many agencies that executives lost track. Is today the DOD or tomorrow the FBI? Is it the weekly call or the monthly meeting? It was dizzying. See, they're not even sure. Which group is it? Which one are we doing? What's happening right now? The chief end result was that thousands of official reports flowed to Twitter from all over through the FITF and the FBI's San Francisco field office. On June 29th, 2020, San Francisco FBI agent Elvis Chan wrote to a pair of Twitter executives asking if he could invite the OGA to an upcoming conference. There's the email right there. Again, proving correspondence. OGA, or other government agencies, can be a euphemism for CIA, according to multiple former intelligence officials and contractors. Chuckles one, they think it's mysterious, but it's just conspicuous. Right. It's like walking in with a shirt that says not CIA, you know, it's like, yeah, obviously you're CIA.
Right.
Other government agencies, the place where I worked for 27 years, says retired CIA officer Ray McGovern. So we have an actual CIA officer, former, retired, that says, yeah, other government agency is synonymous with CIA. It was an open secret at Twitter that one of its executives was ex-CIA, which was why Chan referred to that executive's former employer. The first Twitter executive abandoned any pretense to stealth and emailed to that employee used to work for the CIA. So that is Elvis's question. Stacey, I have no involvement here. I'll leave this to you to respond. Redacted used to work for the CIA. So that is Elvis's question. Senior legal executive Stacia Cardiel, whose alertness stood out among Twitter leaders, replied, "I know," and thought my silence was understood. Damn. Cardiel then passed on conference details to recently hired ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker. Yeah, here's the details, Jim. We got you. I invited the FBI and the CIA virtually to attend too, Cardiel says to Baker, adding pointedly, no need for you to attend. The government was in constant contact with not just with Twitter, but with virtually every major tech firm. I'm going to read that one more time, just in case anyone missed that. The government was in constant contact with not just Twitter, but with virtually every major tech firm.
Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Just on.
YouTube.
Now think about this also. If they're in contact with them, you know that they're going to be in contact with every network, streaming service, anything that attaches that you see, hear, read, listen to. They're going to have their fingers in because they want to turn everyone into a product. See, right now people still are independent. You think for yourself, you do what you want, and they want you to be exactly what they're programming people for. They want you to be a product. Buy what we tell you to, eat what we tell you to, go where we tell you to, and stop complaining and just do what you're told.
Exactly. Yep. These included Facebook, Microsoft, Verizon, Reddit, even Pinterest, and many others. I didn't even think about those. Reddit and Pinterest.
No. Pinterest.
Yeah, the Donald got booted out for Reddit. You know, what was that, like 2018, 2019?
Yeah. That's right.
2020, I don't remember, but the Donald.win got created after that. One of the most common forums was a regular meeting of multi-agency foreign influence task force attended by spats of executives, FBI personnel, and nearly always one or two attendees marked OGA. Or just CIA. We could just do that. Right. There was always some sort of CIA in attendance. And I'm certain probably a couple more of these names are probably also from the CIA as well. The FITF meeting agendas virtually always included, at or near the beginning, an OGA briefing, usually about foreign matters. Hold that thought. I know what you're thinking. I mean, you brought it up with the Arab Spring thing in Egypt, right? It's that same.
Yep.
So the CIA, I mean, my goodness, how many governments has the CIA toppled in the past 100 years?
Many.
Right?
I mean, how many have they helped? How many? I mean, when we look at what they've done since just the 50s alone, since the late 50s, where they tried to start revolutions, help dictators up, the same tactics. They start embedding false stories in the newspapers. They start paying off companies. You know, same things are happening here. It's just the fact that we were a free society. Everywhere else they tried that, it wasn't free. So it was much more effective because, you know, if you're like living under a dictatorship, you're like, oh, you're telling me the government's bad? Oh, okay, yeah, I can kind of buy that. But here, when you're going along well, and all of a sudden you're saying like, well, I have the right to free speech. So does everybody else. No, you can't say that. Silence is violence. And then you start with every kind of bumper sticker slogan. They're having to work overtime.
Yep. The FITF meeting. Yeah, I just wrote that one. Despite its official remit being foreign influence, the FITF and the San Francisco FBI office became conduit for mountains of domestic moderation requests from state governments, even local police. Local police. Wow.
Yeah. Well, where do you think all that military equipment comes? I mean, there's 3 different counties that I have friends in, and one cousin. All of a sudden, when we started going into Iraq with Bush right after 9/11, remember, it was when that was over, all that military equipment, up armored Humvees, you name it, they started offering it to police departments around the country. Well, you're going to need it in case, riot. Since when do they need military equipment? Now, I back the blue. I believe in it, but I don't back it as a whole. I'm like, you're a good cop, I support you. Bad cop, I don't. But they do not need militarized equipment. Why? Well, we're going to give you all this money. Now we want, because you don't want to turn your police force. The British have invented the modern police force that we have was invented by the British. And the reason they were unarmed and still are, the bobbies, was because they wanted the police officer to be an ally. They wanted it to be somebody that the neighborhood could turn to.
Right.
They're like, when you have them armed, they become instead, what was the word they used? Not enemy, but an antagonist to the community, outsiders. Yeah.
I could see that, and they also have to, if they don't spend their budget, budget gets lowered, right? So it's like they have to meet their quota and they have to spend all of the money. Right. So they're wasting money as well, even though it's like they needs to be able to fluctuate a little bit sometime and still have, police officers have their job security maintained, but the protection that they have, what is the name of the police protection that they have? Qualified immunity, right?
Yeah.
That shit needs to be adjusted because it protects bad cops, and the unions.
I can't stand any of that.
That's a whole other conversation.
It is, but I think what we're seeing here is all the outcome of the Patriot Act.
Yep. Can we repeal that thing?
We could, but we can't get anybody with balls in Congress. Every time it's about to sunset, they're like, "Oh, what are we going to do? We'll have another 9/11. We'll have another 9/11," and then.
Yep. We got to get rid of the Patriot Act. We got to get rid of the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yes.
We got to get rid of the Fed. And yeah. Anyway, many requests arrived via teleporter, the one-way platform in which many communications were timed to vanish, which just screams CIA, let's be honest. All right, especially as the election approached in 2020, the FITF FBI overwhelmed Twitter with requests, sending lists of hundreds of platform accounts. Email after email came from San Francisco office heading into the election, often adorned with an Excel attachment. My goodness. Wow. This is their foreign influence that they learned so well in other areas, that they've been working on for decades for at least a decade to finally come and bring it home. Yeah. Well, that I'm sure it's been here for a lot longer. Who knows, right? How long they've been manipulating Americans. There were so many government requests, Twitter employees had to improvise a system for prioritizing and triaging them. Wow. The FBI was clearly tailoring searches to FBI policies. FBI complaints were almost always depicted somewhere as possible terms of service violations, even in the subject line. Let me just keep going there. There it is. Twitter executives noticed the FBI appearance to be assigning personnel to look for Twitter violations. They have some folks in the Baltimore field office and at headquarters that are doing keyword searches for violations. This is probably the 10th request I've dealt with in the past 5 days from Mark Cuddiel, and this was November 3rd, 2020. So really upping it right before the election. Even ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker agreed, odd that they're searching for violations in our policy. We got the former FBI lawyer who's even saying, yeah, it's weird that they're like searching the platform for violations of our policy. It's not illegal. It's not like it's illegal to violate the terms of service of Twitter, right? The worst that'll happen is you get booted off of Twitter. It's not illegal. why the hell is the FBI doing that, right? Or why is the CIA doing it as well? You know, maybe with a little, you know, FBI hat that they're wearing. Like, nope, just the FBI. OGA is just here in the room to talk about foreign influence. The New York FBI office even sent requests for the user IDs and handles of a long list of accounts named in a Daily Beast article. Senior executives say they are supportive and completely comfortable doing so. It seemed to strike no one as strange that a foreign influence task force was forwarding thousands of mostly domestic reports along with the DHS with the fringiest material. Let's see. Biden using scorecard and hammer to steal another U.S. I can't read that.
Yeah.
I am glad I stopped reading that. I know about it. I was aware of this actually. But I don't think I could even, I might not even been able, it might be too late actually to even say what I just said. Foreign meddling had been the ostensible justification for expanded moderation since platforms like Twitter were dragged to the hill by the Senate in 2017. Yet, behind the scenes, Twitter executives struggled against government claims of foreign interference supposedly occurring on their platform and others. The Twitter files showed executives under constant pressure to validate theories of foreign influence and unable to find evidence for key assertions. Found no links to Russia, said one analyst, but suggests he could brainstorm to find a stronger connection. My gosh, it's like I didn't find anything, but I guess if you pay me enough, I feel like that's what that meant.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
if I found, you know, a couple $100,000 in my bank account,
I can keep pointing that there's something there just to keep this going.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Extremely tenuous circumstantial chance of being related, says another. Extremely tenuous circumstantial chance of being related to possibly breaking the terms of service. Not the law, just the terms of service. Like potentially, maybe, kind of. My goodness. No real matches using the info, says former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth in another case, noting that some links were clearly Russian, but another was a house rental in South Carolina. So even the people that I don't trust anymore, like Yoel Roth, who seems to be some sort of pedo dude, I don't know, it's kind of gross, is saying, you know, amongst other employees that are like, this doesn't even make sense. Like this, there's no violations of any of this stuff. In another case, Roth concludes a series of Venezuelan pro-Maduro accounts are unrelated to Russia's Internet Research Agency because they're too high volume. Okay. The Venezuelans were extremely high volume tweeters, pretty uncharacteristic of a lot of other IRA accounts, he says. All right. So maybe some technical knowledge of Twitter and different demographics on the planet. In a key email, news that the State Department was making a wobbly public assertion of Russian influence led an exec, the same one with the OGA past, to make a damning admission. Oh, let's due to a lack of technical evidence on our end, I've generally left it be, waiting for more evidence, he says. Our window on that is closing, given that government partners are becoming more aggressive on attribution. Or maybe because the 2020 election was coming up and they were really just trying to lock it all down. Translation: more aggressive government partners had closed Twitter's window of independence. All right. Yeah, we're running out of time for you doing what we want you to do. We're going to just take over your company now.
Yeah,
and,
pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, how many FBI agents were fired over the past couple months, you know?
Well, I've heard different numbers. I heard one it was 50. I heard one it was 100. So I don't know what the real.
Damn, that many?
I heard it was over 100 in another. So I don't know.
Wow. Does anybody know?
Because I have a building supposedly right behind Twitter's office. I mean, and Musk had talked about there's a building that was built, and that's where the Phoebes are and all the alphabet soup agencies.
Wow, that's crazy. Other government agencies ended up sharing intelligence through the FBI and FITF, not just with Twitter, but with Yahoo, Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, and even Wikimedia. Wikimedia, not Wikipedia, Wikimedia. I don't know what Wikimedia is.
I don't know.
But that now we've got Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, Yahoo, like How many different things have been listed in this thread alone? It's crazy.
It's all of them.
Yeah, all of them. All
This is what he
government's got
meant
their
drain the
fingers,
swamp.
right?
Yep.
Former CIA agent and whistleblower John
Kiriakou. Greek.
Kiriakou, thank you. He believes he recognized the formatting of these reports. Yeah, this indentation right here, right in the middle, here, it references that. Looks right to me, Kiriakou says, noting what was cut off above the tear line was the originating CIA office and all other copied
Oh.
offices. So this here, the tear line, this is the CIA, probably filing process or whatever. Many people wonder if internet platforms receive direction from intelligence agencies about moderation of foreign policy news stories. It appears Twitter did, in some cases by way of the FITF/FBI. These reports are far more factually controversial than domestic counterparts. One intel report accounts tied to Ukraine neo-Nazi propaganda. This includes assertions that Joe Biden helped orchestrate a coup in 2014 and put his son on the board of Burisma. So they were really trying to hide that story for some reason. Interesting. Another report asserts a list of accounts accusing the Biden administration of corruption in vaccine distribution are part of a Russian influence campaign. Of course.
Hmm.
I can't really expound on that without. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
still on YouTube right now. So often intelligence came in the form of brief reports, followed by a long list of accounts simply deemed to be pro-Maduro, pro-Cuba, pro-Russia, etc. This one batch had over 1,000 accounts marked for digital execution. One report says a site documenting perpetrated right abuses committed by Ukrainians is directed by Russian agents. Another CIA document. I don't know if you noticed that. Intel about the shady origin of these accounts might be true, but so might at least some of the information in them about neo-Nazis, rights abuses in Donbass, even about our own government. Should we block such material? Right. I mean, they really don't want anyone to know that the Ukrainian government was killing its own citizens for, I don't know, 8 years straight. Anyway, this is a difficult speech dilemma. Should the government be allowed to try to prevent Americans and others from seeing pro-Maduro/anti-Ukrainian accounts? No. Fuck the government having control over over what Americans see and can say. Yeah, like you said, with anything. I like that answer.
Anything. Well, I mean, it's like it's none of their business. That's up to each individual. You don't want to see it, click something else. You don't like it, turn it off.
Boom. Often, intel reports are just long lists of newspapers, tweets, or YouTube videos guilty of anti-Ukraine narratives. Sometimes, not always, Twitter and YouTube block the accounts, but now we know for sure what Roth meant by the Bureau and, by extension, the IC. The line between misinformation and distorting propaganda is thin. Are we comfortable with so many companies receiving so many reports from a more aggressive government? Hell no. The CIA has yet to comment on the nature of its relationship with tech companies like Twitter. Twitter had no input into anything I did or wrote. The searches were carried out by third parties, so what I saw could be limited. And then, of course, he goes on to say, check out the rest. I've been saying the same thing about China for a long time, and I'm finding out through the Twitter files, not that I didn't suspect it already, but more proving my suspicions were true. Because you look at China, there's any company in China, the government could just take and absorb it into the government. Be like, this is ours now. They control big tech. They control what people can say and see. They finally maybe relaxing a little bit on their COVID policies, which has been absolutely crazy. People are starving to death. But you can't go into a store if your social credit score is below a certain line. Like there's like automated doors that won't open for you. You have to scan your QR code to just live. And it's dystopian. It's crazy. And I'm seeing that America, these big tech companies, this government, they're all working together. And I mean, it's probably not just America. It's probably
global.
Yeah, it's probably global. I mean,
That's what I just shared with you. That article that if you click it, see, this is one of the first instances that it happened. This mother, not this one in here, it's a photo. A mother took her daughter, right, to Broadway, wanted to go to Madison Square Garden.
Sure.
So she goes there, and when she gets there, because she's a part of a law firm that's suing the theater, she gets there, has her tickets, and they blacklist. Like, no one from that law firm is allowed. And they were using biometrics at the door.
Wow.
Because they work together with Twitter and Facebook, they have access to all that information. So this is showing you the future. You want to go later into the grocery store? That's how we have to stop it now. You work in conjunction with, how we got Musk, what he's doing, and you just say no. If you go into a grocery store, those little cards that they give you, like, the little plastic ones you attach to your keychain where it's like, okay, you get a reward every time you use it. I always tell them, don't use those damn things. Forget the damn coupons. They're logging everything you do. Well, what they're trying to push is she wanted to take her child to see a production, have a good time. She gets there, camera looks at her, goes, up, you're on the list of this law firm. Nobody from there is allowed in here because we don't like the fact that you're suing us. But what does that have to do with her kid? Well, later it's going to be, no, you bought too much meat this month. You don't support the government enough. Maybe no AC for you, no electricity. It's for you.
That's crazy. That's why I really want to get my own water electric source because my river never freezes. So, I have this flow. The river is a strong river. It's a strong current. So
very good.
It's crazy.